Dan with Infected RC here, and today we're all about one of my favorite subjects, the Traxxas Ultra Shock. Now, it's a well-known fact that I love the Traxxas Slash. Is it a powerful race machine? No, it's not, but it's dead simple to work on, and you can't kill the thing. So, with that being said, we'll go to its weakest link, the Ultra Shock. Why is the Ultra Shock such a weak link? Well, you got a plastic-bodied shock here on a truck that the rest of the thing is pretty much indestructible. With that being said, you got to learn how to rebuild these things, tear them apart, fix broken bits, so on and so forth. So, getting started here, what we're going to do is first we're going to have to remove the collar. Just take that off just like that, slides right off nice and easy. Let the shock spring go, remove the spring. And now you're left with this wonderful little mess here. And as you can tell, I don't have a whole lot of compression left here. Highly recommend, if your club allows it, replace that cap with an aluminum cap. It'll solve so many issues right off the bat. But to continue on, just take this little retainer here, take that off, and now you've got your basic shock body here left. What you're going to do to get the cap off, get an Allen wrench, screwdriver, whatever's handy. Throw it in there and just crack it open just like so. Remove it with your fingers the rest of the way. And at that point you're going to be able to see the exposed bladder on the inside of the cap here. And you can see I'm a little low on fluid because I'm not dropping a bit here. Just doing it like that. I should be spilling like crazy. I'm not. So what I like to do to remove all this wonderful crap is I like a duct tape roll and I like toilet paper. Paper towel also works. It just happens that toilet paper is very handy around my household. So you'll take the shock, upend it, dump it. Look at all that wonderful nastiness coming out. And what I'll usually do is just work the shock there a little bit, making some wonderful noises in the process there. And now you're pretty much empty. After you're done with that little bit, what I will generally do is I will then try to get the end of the rod off. I'll just set that right like that. I'll take a little bit of my handy dandy toilet paper here, and I'm going to try and make a cushion. You can do this with a piece of foam, anything really that's kind of handy for you. And then you're just going to want to take some pliers or, lineman's pliers or whatever you got handy. Squeeze it in there. You want to get in there tight enough to where you can't move the shaft anymore, but not enough to dent the shaft. So just kind of take the shaft end off the shaft there, just like so. Now you've got the rod free. You can take it all the way up and pull the piston out. And there you have it. As you can tell, my piston is a little, it's seen better days. So then you got the basic body left here. You're going to then remove all that wonderful goodness there and take the end off. To get these little gaskets out here, you're going to want to take a screwdriver or, once again, a small Allen wrench, and just be very so careful and remove those seals. Now you've got this black hard gasket in the center of this, and it's a little harder to remove. And a lot of people say you can reuse these. I normally don't. I don't share that belief because, well, if you're digging around in there, chances are you're going to score it and it's going to leak a little bit. Just take all three seals out, bam, 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 and then you go off and you clean it. I will be back in just a moment and we will cover reassembly. Okay, I'm back to continue rebuilding our Traxxas Ultra Shock here. Now, I've gone and I've completely cleaned all the parts that I am going to reuse on this build. The shock body especially. You want to make sure it's nice, clean, and dry. I just wash everything in dish soap. It's nice, simple, easy. It completely dissolves all the oil that was left over and gets rid of all the nasty stuff that you'll pick up at the track. Now, with that being said, do make sure that you get everything nice and dry. As stated earlier, I did bend the rod to my previous piston. So I went and I built another one. Now, I always keep these around pre-built. Why? Because I'm Polish and I like to lose the clips. And I'm not kidding, I am actually Polish. Third generation, thank you. And with that being said, I usually keep these built ahead of time because nobody wants to watch me, fumble around on camera for 45 minutes trying to put on 2 E-clips. It also makes this a lot simpler process after I've got these pre-made. I can rebuild a shock in a matter of minutes. Now, moving right along, what you're going to want to do to begin reassembling everything, make sure that you do have the washer on the back side of the shock. Some will use limiters. Nitro fuel line works great. In this one I'm not, because it's going to be a generic one size fits all quick fix at the track. I just kind of keep them around so I can limp along as quickly as possible. And you slide it right on in there. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to put in your gaskets. Like I said, don't be a cheapie and reuse your gaskets. It's garbage. You're putting yourself at risk for a breakdown during a race. Don't do it. The rebuild kit is cheap. Just rebuild it. That being said, all you do is kind of like building a sandwich, really. I mean, you take your gasket, soft ones on the outside, the hard white one in the center, or black in some cases. Usually with the rebuild kits they are white in my experience. And just sandwich it all in there. No need to force it or anything like that. Just make sure it's started. After you get it in there, what you're going to want to do is just take your bottom cap, then slide it on. Make sure you're getting on nice and tight here. Make sure you don't cross thread or anything crazy like that, because then you'll never get it off. You'll mutilate the entire body and everything if you cross thread. Don't do it. And one thing that I always wind up forgetting is putting this little rubber dampener on at the end. I always forget these. I don't know why. Take your end of your rod, screw it on. Nice and simple here. Now you see I'm screwing to nowhere, so at that point, once again, you got to grab your wonderful little piece of toilet paper or whatever you're using to not dent the rod here. Clamp her down and lock her down. And there will become a point to where you will start slipping a bit. And there you have it. That is on there. I do want to point out that if you forget in what order you took everything off, with the rebuild kit, Traxxas gives you this nice little diagram here. It's very helpful, especially the first couple times you rebuild these on your own. Utilize it. Now, with that all being said, it's time to fill this thing with some shock oil. I'm just going to use the standard Traxxas 30 weight. It's a nice all-purpose weight and a good baseline if you're trying to figure out where to run at your track. And I'll just fill it out, and I will tell you that while you're filling this, the important thing here is to eliminate air bubbles. How do you eliminate air bubbles? Well, it's quite simple, really. You just want to take the piston and kind of move it and twist it up and down. And as you pull it down, the air bubbles will rise. You'll take it back up, just kind of trying to maneuver it around and try and get all those air bubbles out. Now, a common mistake is overfilling these. Now, right now I'm at about the bottom of the threads there. You need to be a bit more than that. So what I normally do is I'll take it and I'll just drop it in till I get it pretty close to all the way to the top. And then I'll eliminate any further air bubbles I may have. And I've got a nice calm top there. What I'll do, just to kind of ensure that I've got it all just perfect height and everything, I'll just dip a Q-tip or something into the top. Just take ever so little out. You just don't want it completely full, but you want it near there. And at this point, I'm going to set my shock aside, because now I need to get the cap ready. And it really helps if you've got a shock rebuild stand, because my poor man's solution here, while it works, is a little temperamental. Now, you want to take the bladder, put it into the shock cap. Once again, don't be cheap. Get new bladders. Okay? Can you reuse them in a pinch? Sometimes if you're careful. I usually choose not to, because I've had more harm happen that way than anything else. You want to get it down in there, nice and easy. And it doesn't have to be seated perfect, but you don't want to poke at it too much, because you can actually do a lot of harm this way too. Doing it with the screwdriver like I am right now, if you go at it too hard, you're going to poke a hole in it. But as you can see, I've got it. It's domed out nicely. It's not pushed in at all. At this point, you take the shock and you put the cap back on. It is normal to get a little bit of seepage around the outside here. Perfectly normal. Don't be alarmed by it. Tighten her down, and then to snug her down, once again, just grab your screwdriver or whatever, tighten it up just a little bit. You don't want to go nuts. Over tightening will cause damage to the shock body, and you don't want that, because then the whole thing is lost and you gotta buy new shocks, and for what these things are, they're not cheap. So you're just going to want to kind of check it. As you can see, I've got good mobility here. It doesn't quite bottom all the way out, and it dampens nice and soft all the way through the stroke. Okay, now at this point, just take your excess shock oil, wipe off, and there you have it. You're going to go and you're going to take your retention collar for your spring, throw it on there, throw the spring on, and put the other retention end on, and there you have it. One rebuilt Traxxas Ultra Shock. I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. If you have not yet, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and check out the webpage at www.infectedrc.com.